Look, the corporate controlled media just can't say enough nice things about white people, even when they kill scores of American citizens. Listen to CNN, great example since we've been talking about them. The media has a massive racism problem, and they seem completely unaware of the double standard in their coverage. Now, this story came up, and I had to read it a couple times to really appreciate the impact of what's being said here. But Alternet carried this story, and they said basically that the media is far more generous to white killers than they are to black victims. Of course, we go back to Trayvon Martin. We can see that pretty clearly. What's your take on this story?
Well, speaking of Trayvon Martin, somebody last week, after you had this Mark Condit, this young white guy sending all the bombs around Austin, Texas, the New York Times had a headline that said, Bomber was described as shy and nerdy and from a godly family. Those were
the words, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Shy, nerdy, from a godly family, quiet. I wrote the words. It was almost like they were describing this childlike character who wasn't responsible for what he did.
Right, and then somebody had taken that headline and or put it right next to a headline from the New York Times after Trayvon Martin was murdered that said Trayvon Martin had been suspended from school for marijuana.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember that. I mean, we
I
also
remember
media all the time, and they would stop at nothing. They would show these horrid pictures of Trayvon Martin trying to make him look like this criminal.
A thug.
When he was the one who was murdered, and now a white serial killer comes out and they say, well, poor guy, he had a close-knit family, he was homeschooled. Oh, he's just a misunderstood little psychopath.
Mark O'Mara, the defense lawyer for Trayvon Martin, for Zimmerman, is a good friend of mine. And as this case was taking place, every time he would see a headline like that, he would understand that's working as a way to free Zimmerman. And that's exactly what happened. But with Trayvon Martin, it wasn't just they made him look like a thug. They showed him with his T-shirt that says "Weeds, Fight, and Guns." You remember that?
Yeah.
And so it was all that same picture. There's probably a lot to this that probably needs a little more exploring.